Perhaps you felt this. The doorbell rings. Someone arrives unannounced, and instead of joy, and discomfort arises within you. It's not a lack of love nor coldness. It's simply your soul asking for silence. For the chosen, home is not just walls and furniture, but a sacred territory where they find rest and renewal. We live in a culture that values those who are always surrounded by people. Those who prefer to be alone are judged as cold, closed, or rude. But not liking visitors doesn't mean rejecting anyone. It means respecting your boundaries and protecting your energy. Each encounter demands something from us, and for the more sensitive, this can be extremely tiring. The chosen carry a greater sensitivity than usual. Silence is not empty, it is nourishment. It is in this that they find clarity, peace, and direction. An unexpected visit can break that sacred atmosphere, draining strength and creating discomfort. This is not selfishness. It is care for one's own soul. It is a natural instinct of protection. I am George, and today we will dive into 7 points that explain why the chosen often don't like to receive visits, and how this discomfort, rather than a flaw, is actually a sign of spiritual maturity. You will notice that your need for silence and retreat is not weakness. It is part of your mission and your preparation. Already follow the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss anything. Silence is not just the absence of noise. For the chosen, it represents life. It is in the silence that the mind slows down, that the heart organizes, and that the soul begins to hear what truly matters. When the home is at peace, it seems that everything inside us also fits. Silence calms, cleans, and rebuilds from within. This silence is not the same for everyone. Some people cope well with chaos, with constant noise. But the chosen, due to their sensitivity, need spaces without external voices to listen to their inner ones. Every less sound is an additional layer of clarity. It is in this emptiness that true fulfillment happens, far from the distractions of the world. When someone arrives unexpectedly, however well-intentioned, it is as if a sacred field is invaded. What was rest becomes obligation. The energy that was focused on healing now needs to be redirected toward interaction. Talking, smiling, paying attention. All of this, for the chosen, requires enormous effort, even if they do not show it. This does not mean they do not love people. They simply feel differently. External noise interferes with the internal process. And when they are in this moment of recollection, a simple visit can disconnect what was being aligned. It is like an interrupted prayer or a broken sleep. You try to resume, but it is no longer the same. Society tends to value the extrovert, the one who is always available, the one who opens the door to everyone. The withdrawn is seen as odd, cold, distant. But what few understand is that this withdrawal is often a need of the soul. Not an escape from people, but a dive into oneself. Solitude, for the chosen, is a source. It does not mean sadness or abandonment. It is freedom to listen to one's own intuition, space to rediscover oneself without others' expectations. It is in this environment that ideas arise, feelings organize, and the divine presence becomes clearer. Silence for the chosen is like prayer. There is a deep sensitivity in those who prefer silence. They are people who perceive nuances, sense what is left unsaid, feel the energies around. When the house is silent, this field of perception remains clear. But when there is movement, noise, and unexpected presence, everything becomes tangled. The body feels first, the mind then tries to understand. Often, not liking visitors is just the way the unconscious has found to protect this sacred space. The soul knows what it needs, even when you do not yet know how to explain. And this discomfort is not selfishness, it is preservation. It is a kind of instinct that warns, "Today I need me." Silence also has the power to reveal. In noise, distractions disguise themselves. In silence, everything appears, and that can be uncomfortable for someone who is still fleeing from themselves. But the chosen have already understood that there is no more running. They need to face themselves, listen to themselves, heal themselves. And this only happens when everything around calms. Recollection is not isolation, it is reconnection. And this reconnection is as essential as the air. The chosen renew themselves in silence. They emerge from it stronger, lighter, and more prepared for life. And those who respect this time can later give the best of themselves, without guilt, without excess, only with truth. In the lives of the chosen, nothing happens by chance. When certain people begin to drift away, or when doors seem to close, it is not just coincidence. It is an invisible movement that protects. Often, the visits that bother, or relationships that tire, are signs that something is no longer part of the path. The soul feels before the mind understands. This discomfort is, in truth, a warning. God does not allow the chosen to cling to environments, people, or opportunities that do not contribute to their purpose. It may seem harsh, but it is care. The withdrawal preserves the essence. It allows energy to be used in what truly matters, without being wasted on superficial conversations or encounters that drain. It is natural to feel estrangement when friendships cool, invitations lessen, or visits become bothersome. The heart may even think it's losing, but deep down, it is protection. What seems empty now is opening space for something greater. The one who is chosen needs to learn that not every company is good, and not every open door should be walked through. Not liking visits may be part of this movement. It is as if the soul says, "Not here, not now." This invisible filter selects what enters and what stays out. And as strange as it may seem, this is a sign of maturity. The chosen understands that preserving their peace is more important than pleasing. The discomfort is only the body reacting to what the soul has already decided to leave behind. Many see solitude as emptiness, but for the chosen it is a source of life. It is in the silence that he learns to trust, to know himself, to grow. When there are no visits to distract, when the house is calm, a precious space for meeting the inner self is born. It is there that faith strengthens and identity is firmed. Days of solitude are not a punishment. They are preparation. Each moment in silence is like invisible training. The chosen learns to endure, to wait, to discern. He discovers that he does not need applause to have value, nor company to be whole. Solitude reveals the strength that was hidden, and only appears when everything around quiets. At first, it may seem difficult. The mind cries out, the heart feels abandoned. But over time, the chosen realizes that he has never been alone. Silence reveals voices that noise hides, the voice of conscience, of faith, of the call. It is in this hidden place that instructions for the next step are received. Therefore, the discomfort with visits makes sense. The chosen senses that solitude is necessary for his journey. Silence is the school where he learns lessons no crowd can teach, and once that learning happens, nothing can take away the peace that arises from within. Solitude does not weaken. It shapes and strengthens. Not everyone understands what it means to carry a calling. Sometimes, not even the one who carries it understands it right away. But the soul feels. It is like a silent restlessness that asks for more focus, more truth, more depth. And with that comes a silent invitation to separation. It is not abandonment. It is preparation. Those chosen for something greater cannot walk any path, nor carry any luggage. They must be light, attentive, available. The calling does not accept continuous distractions. That is why discomfort with visits appears. Each external energy, every purposeless presence, can steal a piece of energy that should be kept for the mission. The heart of the chosen perceives when it is time to withdraw. There are phases in which everything inside him screams for silence. Therefore, social interactions that were once normal begin to bother. What used to make sense now weighs heavy, and the chosen understands that it is not about rejecting others, but respecting his own process. This separation can happen naturally, as if things were organizing themselves. Friends drift apart, invitations diminish, and the routine empties. It is in this emptiness that something new starts to be built. What seemed like loneliness becomes a fertile field. What seemed like loss becomes clarity. Isolation, in fact, is refinement. Just as an athlete needs to withdraw from distractions to train with discipline, the chosen also goes through moments of total focus. During this time, everything that does not add is revealed, and what remains is essential. The soul begins to filter what enters, what stays, and what needs to go out. Even the environment must be in sync. Discomfort with visits is not arrogance. It is the heart asking for space. Every conversation without purpose, every unresolved energy, can hinder the silence necessary to hear divine direction. Therefore, the discomfort appears as a warning. Now is not the time to open doors. It is time to strengthen from within. This process requires courage. It is not easy to say no to loved ones, to refuse invitations, or to deal with others' judgment. But the chosen learns that they do not need to please everyone. They only need to be faithful to what they were called to live. And this requires difficult but liberating choices. Many confuse separation with coldness, but actually it is love. Love for the purpose. Love for what is still being generated in silence. The chosen understands that they cannot be distracted by everything, nor be available all the time. They must respect the cycles of the soul. And there are moments when the cycle calls for withdrawal. The calling is not loud. It manifests in the subtexts, in silent discomfort, in the desire to be alone. Those who ignore these signs end up losing energy, clarity, and direction. But those who listen, even if they do not understand everything, begin to walk with more awareness, and the path opens step by step. Separation, as difficult as it may seem, prepares the ground. When the heart is clean, focus increases. When the mind is at peace, vision expands. That is why so many chosen go through isolation phases before living what they were called to live. It is in silence that the mission takes shape. It may seem strange to withdraw just when everything outside is moving. But the chosen feels it is necessary. He knows that to fulfill what he needs to fulfill, he cannot mix with everything. Each step requires strength, and that strength is born in intimacy with God, in the silence of the home, in the preserved space of the soul. The calling requires surrender, and surrender begins when the chosen understands that the process is sacred, that it is not about the quantity of connections, but about the quality of presence. That saying no to a visit is saying yes to something greater, and that the discomfort with what used to be common is a sign that something new is being born. Not everyone understands what it means to carry a calling. Sometimes it's not a person, but a way of thinking. Other times, it's an environment that no longer serves, a routine that only tires, or an old dream that has lost its shine. The soul feels that something has changed, but the heart hesitates to accept. The conflict arises exactly here, in the desire to move forward while we still carry what binds us. The chosen feels this weight more intensely. He knows deep down that certain presences bring more of the past than of the future. That certain dialogues do not build, they merely preserve what should already have been ended. The discomfort with visits often has this root. With every door opened, a part of a story you are trying to close also enters. Reminders come, expectations, old judgments, and all of this unsettles a structure that was beginning to strengthen. The visit leaves, but the weight remains. The home, for the chosen, is like a nest where the new is being generated. When the old invades this space, even subtly, it interferes. It is like trying to plant in soil full of old roots. Growth is limited. That is why the soul feels. That is why that discomfort arises that no one else understands. But you cannot ignore. Breaking with the past is not disrespect. It is discernment. It is not about erasing what was lived, but recognizing that certain phases have already fulfilled their role, and that keeping alive bonds that no longer make sense only delays the blooming of what is to come. The soul asks for lightness, and lightness requires detachment. It takes courage to say, "This no longer serves me." It hurts, yes, but it also frees. It is like pruning a tree that wishes to grow. The cut may seem harsh, but without it, new branches will not grow. Growth depends on the space we have the courage to open. And opening space is, many times, closing cycles. The chosen understands over time that they cannot carry everything with them, and that insisting on keeping doors open out of pity, fear, or habit only hinders the purpose. Separation is not cruelty, it is clarity. And this clarity begins to manifest in the small discomforts, conversations that no longer make sense, encounters that no longer bring peace. Many suffer because they resist. They try to maintain bonds that have no life. They insist on pleasing visits who do not respect their boundaries. They try to hold on to relationships that God has already loosened. And the more they insist, the more tired they become. It's like rowing against the current. The soul wants to move forward, but fear still holds the oar. Cooperating with this process is much lighter. It's when the chosen begins to perceive the signs and listen to their heart without fear. When they understand that the discomfort is not punishment, it's protection. And that respecting this inner call is the beginning of a new journey. More aligned, cleaner, lighter. The visits that once seemed natural now feel heavy. The conversations that once filled the room now seem empty. It's not that you've grown cold. You have grown. What made sense yesterday no longer sustains today, and that is maturity. It is a sign that you are no longer living in the past, but finally inhabiting the present. Silence begins to be more attractive than any loud company. The peace of the home becomes more important than any forced interaction. The chosen begins to protect their space as a guardian, not out of pride, but out of wisdom. They know that what is being built inside is sacred. Breaking with the past is also an act of faith. It is to believe that, even without knowing exactly what lies ahead, what is coming is better than what has passed. It is taking a step without seeing the whole path, trusting that the right direction will come when you are ready to walk. And this readiness starts in silence. It starts when you stop fighting against what is already being transformed. It starts when you accept that certain people, environments, or situations were part of your story, but no longer belong to your now. The new does not arrive while the old occupies the place. Life becomes lighter when we learn to respect the timing of things. The discomfort with visits ceases to be just a strange feeling and becomes a clear warning. This space is precious, and it needs to be cared for. The soul knows, the heart feels, and the body often reacts first. Breaking away is difficult, but remaining in what no longer makes sense is even more painful. The chosen needs to remember that they were not called to carry everything, but to move forward with what is essential. And sometimes this essential is only silence, presence, and faith. The rest, if true, will find a new way to walk beside you. The journey of the chosen is not always easy to explain. There is a silence that seems heavy to those looking from the outside, but inside, it brings healing. There is a solitude that many confuse with coldness, but which in truth is protection. What to the world seems like estrangement, to the chosen is merely part of the path. Not liking visits may seem like a distant, antisocial attitude, but in truth it is a natural reaction of someone going through a process of inner refinement. Each phase of this walk requires a different kind of presence, and often the best company during this time is the silence itself. The heart, when being shaped by God, needs space. It needs silence to hear the right direction. It needs peace to heal old wounds. It needs recollection to prepare for what is to come. Unexpected visits, forced conversations, busy environments. All of this can interrupt a delicate process that was taking place inside. The life of the chosen is made of details. Nothing happens by chance. When certain doors close, it is not rejection, it is deliverance. When certain friendships drift apart, it is not loneliness, it is realignment. And when discomfort with visits appears, perhaps it is only the subtle warning that the soul is asking for more silence and less distraction. The world demands presence from us all the time. It wants us available, smiling, participating, accepting everything without question. But those guided by a higher calling begin to feel that not everything serves, not everything fits, not everything needs to be kept. And that also includes visits that once seemed harmless. Protecting one's own space is not selfishness. It is wisdom. It is understanding that the time of preparation requires care, that the home is more than an address. It is a temple. And the heart, more than an organ, is where the purpose resides. Allowing just anyone to enter these sacred places can hinder what God is doing inside. There is beauty in solitude when it is lived with purpose. There is strength in silence when it is respected. And there is meaning even in the discomfort that no one understands. Because every discomfort hides an invitation. Stop, listen, notice. What is your soul trying to show you? Perhaps it is simply asking you to take better care of yourself. Separation is not punishment. It is part of the construction. And when you understand that, the weight goes away. The lightness remains in knowing there is a right time for everything. Time to open up, time to close off, time to embrace and time to let go, time to receive, and time to simply stay in silence with your own soul. Now, I want to hear you. Comment below and share your experience. It may seem small, but your voice can be the relief someone needs to understand. They are not alone on this journey. What you feel matters, and when we speak, healing begins. Shall we walk together?